Amen. Amen. Everyone, thank you. Thank you. I'm just going to give you a chance to come on in as we get ready for this man cave conversation on today. We got a special guest that's going to be with us on today. I have my big little brother with me, uh, brother Lacey, Pollard. We're going to do this again. He don't like when I say that, so I'm going to keep saying it. We're gonna leave him alone though. I don't got time for him to beat me up. All right, but we're gonna want everyone to come on in as we get ready for this great man cave conversation. Got time for him to beat me up. All right, we are excited on today. Please put your comments, your questions about mental health in. Go ahead, do that right now. Hit what I would like for everyone to do. Hit that share button, hit that like button as we get ready to have this conversation. Please do not hesitate. If you have any questions about mental health, please post them now. Please post them now. We're going to try to address some things within an hour because guess what? It's Monday night, and that means Monday Night Football. So that doesn't mean anything. So what we like to do is just go ahead and have a brief prayer. And then after that, our special guest is going to introduce himself, and then we're going to get ready to get started with this dialogue today. I pray that this day has been a great blessing unto you. Hey, that you made it home safely. You didn't have hiccups on today, but if you did have a hiccup today, guess what? You made it through. That's just a quick clap and good praise right there because all that you've been through today, God still allow you to make it home safely. You're not in the hospital, you're not somewhere on the side of the road, anywhere. You are somewhere that you are safe and you're in your right mind in your right place. So I want to give God the praise because we all know that everything that we do, we still give God the praise and the glory. So let's go into a prayer. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and begin with our conversation on today. Again, hit that like button, hit that share button. And if you have any questions about mental health, please post it in the comment section right here on the Word Restoration Ministry page. Okay. So let's go in prayer. Heavenly Father, oh God, we thank you today for another chance, another opportunity. Lord, we thank you for what we have seen on today. Lord, we thank you for every advertisement that we face, every persecution that we face. Lord, everything that we have faced, oh God, they tried to give us trouble, oh God, trying to trying to fight with our spiritual man to knock us out of our place. But God, by your grace and your mercy, oh God, by your spirit, oh God, you not have allowed to any battle, oh God, that we face to overthrow us, oh God, to distract us, to mislead us, to knock us out of our purpose, knock us out of our destiny, oh God. You still kept us grounded, oh God. Lord, you kept us, you allow us to be connected to you. You order our steps. You allow us to see things, oh God, differently in these times, oh God. So, God, we ask you right now, oh God, as we go through this conversation, oh God, Lord, we ask you right now that someone who's watching this will be healed and set free. Lord, so have a light bulb that will not be embarrassed or ashamed or fearful, oh God, but they will come into the oneness and say, I need to be free. So, God, we ask you right now, oh God, we speak freedom right now, oh God, but we speak liberty right now in everyone's lives, oh God, everyone that's facing turmoil, oh God, that has advertisement going on, who have their wheels continue to spilling as they going to sleep, oh God, who's have unease rest right now, oh God, Lord, we speak peace in their life. This now we declare in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Amen.
And everyone for watching with us. I'm glad that you're here on this man cave conversation. We're going to do this as so often. We're going to address mental health because that is something that has not been addressed uh, uh, within a lot of us as far as men. We don't like to address those things, but guess what? We're going to address them here. We're going to have a candid conversation. And guess what? We got a special guest. Go ahead, introduce yourself.
Yeah, first of all, I'm so happy to be here. My name is Jostock. I am a mental health counselor or therapist, or kind of interchangeable words. I have a master's degree in clinical mental health counseling. And one of the big reasons I got into counseling was to work with men. Men seek treatment much more infrequently than women. And men are sort of trained to suppress feeling, right? Don't let them see you cry type of mentality, sort of be the big man in the house, and you know, suppress every feeling and emotion you might have. So that, among other things, led me into this field. I love what I do. I work with mostly men. About I would say about 70 to 75% of my practice is male, and I see a variety of things right now. Especially, I'm seeing a lot of anxiety, relationship stuff, grief and loss, depression, with everything going on. So I'm so grateful to be here with the two of you, and to have this opportunity to talk about mental health and men, because it's, you know, it's some, like you said, something we don't talk about often, but it's taking too many lives. You know, ages, if I'm not mistaken, at ages 10 to 35 years old, suicide is the second leading cause of death. You know, the only thing in front of that is accidental injury. And we're losing too many young men, and older men, to suicide. And part of my mission is to talk about it, to destigmatize getting help, so people don't have to feel alone anymore. I think a lot of people right now, as we speak, are feeling very, very alone, and they're having some very scary thoughts. So grateful to be with you. I'm going to let you lead the way, and I'm happy to ask any questions. So for whoever's watching, please don't hesitate to ask a question, whether it's about anxiety, depression, grief, and loss. Happy to answer to the best of my abilities, and here for everybody.
Man, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you just going in and hitting with those stats real quick, because when you said that you're dealing with 70% more men in your field than anything else, that is a alarming rate, because, like you said before, Brother Lacey and I can contest to that. We was growing up, you know, you got to man up. That's the terminology we heard all our life, even when we became adults. Even though we got married, that terminology, you need to man up, was embedded in us. So a lot of times we don't know how to express our emotions. This one thing I would like to say is, one is, I told this countless times before, just being transparent, I never learned how to address my emotions until I got in my 30s. You know, use words, instead of the normal, typical reaction that people accept was anger, frustration, or what we call a ticking time bomb, where I boil everything up. The next thing you know, just one little light little feather that just hit it, and it just low. Brother Lacey, how would you feel about those moments when can you remember the time where you had that moment in your life where you talk about where you was a ticking time bomb?
Oh yes, most definitely, man. Um, Not too long ago, maybe in my mid 20s, you know, I went through a phase where I was dealing with being, I guess, dealing with some of my decisions that I decided to make, plus trying to understand life and which direction I was going in personally, and not realizing where I was mentally in certain states where, everything was just, it was, you know, toxic or volatile. I was angry, I was frustrated, didn't really know how to get rid of that emotion. And at that time, I didn't know how to release it, or, you know, who to outlet to properly, or how to do it myself. So yeah, I definitely remember those times. That's what, you know, it got me to start reading and doing some of my own research at that time, to try to figure out, what do I need to do to start kind of combating these issues. I mean, because even at that time, being able to say, okay, spiritually I can pray, I didn't have, as a man, there's another layer there where even with that foundation, your mind is doing something else because of the circumstances you're actually in the moment. or whatever you're dealing with in the moment. So you're processing that, and that's what's bringing that stress. That's what's bringing that mental imbalance, and just being able to recognize that at that time. So.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to add too. I mean, think about how boys are raised, right? I mean, when I wasn't playing baseball, I was playing basketball. When I wasn't playing basketball, I was playing street hockey. Not every young boy plays sports, but I have memories. For instance, I remember I tore up my knee playing basketball, and I think I was 14. I think I was a freshman in high school, and I distinctly remember, hyperextending my knee, tearing a bunch of cartilage. It led up to surgery and this big recovery. And I remember a coach kneeling over me saying, hey, don't let him see you cry. Tuck that away. And so from a very young age, we're told that, or we're sort of trained to say, hey, hide those things, suppress those things. And then as we get older, if there's trouble in the family, or there's trouble in the marriage, don't talk about it. That's the worst thing, right? We're sort of trying to keep that in-house, keep that inside. Don't let them see the weakness. Don't let them see the weakness. And it happens from this really, really young age, right? And all the time, I have male clients that come in and they use those words, ticking time bomb, and they tell me about a time where maybe they saw their a father cry for the first time and it blew them away, and oh my gosh, I can express emotion. But think about it like this: we're trained essentially to hold a beach ball underwater, and at first that's not so hard. Holding a beach ball under the water for a little bit's pretty easy, really. It's a nice little workout. But eventually, if you have to continue to hold it there, your arms are going to start to wobble, and then the wobble is going to turn into a shake, and eventually your arms are going to give out. You just can't hold it forever. And when that beach ball comes out of the water, it doesn't gently float to the surface, right? What happens? It implodes through the water. It explodes. It goes way up in the air. And this is the same thing that happens with suppressing feeling, not dealing with it, sweeping it under the rug. Eventually, it's going to come out. And the more that is suppressed, the more violent and demonstrative it's going to be when it happens. So I think ticking time bomb is actually a pretty good language to surround the suppression of feelings and in anybody, and especially men.
Man, wow, I'm gonna have to use that. Trust me, I'm gonna use that. I never really thought about it that way, the way you said it, but yeah, holding the beach ball underneath water, yeah, it's light. It's nothing but filled with air. You hold it underneath water, of course. I mean, you could do it, but like you said, over time, the weight of it and you continue to hold in it. In essence, you're gonna let it go and just explode.
Yeah.
That is something. Yeah. I want to talk about this because I remember you were saying prior what you say about your clients. I can relate to your clients because I never knew that I could cry until I got that validation from my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning I didn't get that validation by him telling me. It was more that validation when I saw him do it. So when my mother passed and I saw him cry, it threw me through a loop.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I know you the same man. They told me not to cry when I fell out of the tree. So I'm like, wait a minute. Come on now. Why I ain't understand. I could not comprehend what was going on because by him crying, I didn't pay attention to the death that was taking place. Like my grandmother, a key cornerstone of the family. I didn't pay attention to that. I still remember the moment that my dad shed a tear. And that's something that I would like to just talk about more. Just talk about that a little bit. That moment where you find yourself releasing from an emotion that you never got a chance to express. Let's talk about that, Lacey. That first moment where you can have that motion where you had the first time to release it and it felt good.
Oh man, that moment, when that moment came, the peace that I've gained, the peace that I gained in that moment was just tremendous. But discovering that moment was the true path. and realizing what it took to get there. Even not having the outlets, being able to still realize that, hey, listen, this is something that I discovered on my own, by the way, being able to say, hey, look, I got to deal with this how I need to deal with it. This is what I'm going to do. This is a decision I'm making, and I'm not going to allow anybody to compromise or dictate my manhood with me making this decision, because even then, I still didn't have that support of, okay, it's okay to be able to release, it's all right to do that. I didn't see that. I still haven't seen that personally. Carlton, my father's a rock, man. He never cries, bro. I haven't seen it yet, but I was still able to learn that we are two different individuals. These are different times.
Yeah.
We're in the middle of not even just now, but even now, we're in the middle of a pandemic. I probably would see him cry now, and this is something that we haven't been in years. None of us have experienced in our time frame, in our age. So, but when I learned that was something that was okay, now, and that it made me feel better, I leaned more on it. But even then, I did it in private. It was moments of reflection with me, myself, God, and then I let that work. Never being able to deal with it in the forefront or having a support system for it is something totally different now.
I think, and that's important what you just said, Lacey, because here's the thing with grief or emotions, and I'm going to speak sort of directly to grief, since, I can remember the first time seeing my own dad cry was at his mother's, my grandmother's funeral, and I was very young. And it's amazing how young boys or men remember the first time they see that out of their dad. It's sort of this monumental experience, because it's such a first. We see our dad as this strong, charismatic, tough guy. But Lacey, to what you said, the key is that you get to grieve and you get to experience your feelings the way you want to. And the important thing is to know that it's okay to do that. Now, if you want to do it in private or in public or however, that's up to you. But it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to move towards those feelings, whether they're negative, positive, or indifferent. It's okay to move towards your grief, and you get to do it in your own unique way. Because think about this, when you have a problem in life, there's so many people around us that are very well-intentioned. They're good friends, they're coworkers, whatever. They're very well-intentioned, and they're constantly giving advice. Oh, you should do this. Oh, it's time to move on. It's time to, you got to accept it. Or if it's in regards to a death, at least they're at peace. At least they're in a better, and as the grieving person, the person feeling on it, we already know that. We know that they're being well-intentioned too. Sometimes we want some privacy. Sometimes we want an outlet. You get to do it in your own unique way. And there's no right or wrong way. The grief journey, or the journey of just realizing that you can express your emotion and feeling, that is individual. Everyone is totally different, which is why words that I sort of can't stand in grief or in the mental health field is "I understand." Clients come in all the time, and every situation is so unique. And just because they lost someone and I lost the same person, it's not the same thing. So I rarely say, yeah, I understand, because I don't know what you're fully going through. I'm not sitting in your shoes. I can imagine, I can feel pain with you. I can be sympathetic and hopefully empathetic. But the important thing is you get to do it in your own unique way. And the last thing I want to say is, people always ask me, they'll reach out through Facebook, and they say, a friend of mine is going through something, or a friend of mine has lost their mother. What can I say to them? What should I say? A lot of times it's not even about the words. It's just about being there or respecting how that person is grieving and expressing that. And simply just, and to not try to course correct, and not try to say, hey, you should keep yourself distracted, or hey, you should take work off. You get to do it in your way. So I think it's great that you've chosen to address it in your life, and you've made it very intentional of saying, this is the path that I want to do it. do it on. So hats off, brother. That's awesome.
Let me ask you this.
Appreciate that.
Let me ask you this, because we have experienced in 2020 death like no other in 2020, in some type of form, way, or fashion. Death, it was connected like no other this year to everyone across the world. It was more seen in years past, like 2019. I heard of someone passing away, but they was not connected. But this year, it was more of, okay, I know that person. I actually know that person and more connected. I just actually saw that person last week, and we had a great conversation. Parents losing their children this year. Um, Husbands losing their wives, wives losing their husbands. Kids are losing their parents, and now they're on their own. What would you say about what? Is there a such thing as a time limit on grief? Let me ask you that. Is there a time frame on grief?
That is a fantastic question.
That's a great question.
And not only yes, certainly the loss of life, especially in our communities here in Metro Detroit, and especially Detroit, has been significant. And I'm seeing, as this is going on, more and more clients coming in with grief. But it's not just that. People have lost their sense of identity. They've lost the ability to hug their family. They have maybe lost their business. There is so much loss in this year. And of course, life should be valued, in my opinion, above all else. And so much. So I want to put that out there for someone watching that maybe hasn't lost someone, but they've lost, their job, their identity, a relationship, whatever. And they're going through it all alone. But to answer your question about does it have a time limit, so happy you asked that. One of the myths in grief is 1 year. Oh, in 1 year, you're going to be feeling a lot better. And a lot of people think too that the funeral happens, right? So here's the funeral, and we have this gradual healing that starts to happen, when in reality, the funeral happens and we go like this, because support starts to fade. A lot of times the first year for people is easier than the second year, because it's that person's birthday. It would have been their birthday. It's their first Christmas alone. And they have that support from family and friends. The second year rolls around and that all starts to fade. So the key to a time limit is to realize that there really isn't one. And it's totally unique to the person. But healing won't happen until you address the grief. I've had people come in and they say, I've lost my daughter. And I say, well, how long ago did you lose your daughter? And they said 9 years ago. And I just never went through. I've realized that I've held down the beach ball essentially, and now my life is imploding. And so the sooner someone can start that grief work and that grief journey, the sooner they can start to heal. Healing will happen, but there's no sense to put a time limit on it. If therapists could wave a magic wand and say, you're going to be feeling better by this date, we would love to be able to do that. But the fact of the matter is everyone is very, very different. And all I know is that until you do the work, you're probably not going to be feeling better. Last thing I'll say on this, I always tell people, what is the cost of love? And I want to give a shout out to my mentor, Tanya, because I'm stealing a lot of her zingers here. She really taught me a lot about this. But the cost of our love is pain. The more pain we feel in loss means the deeper we loved that person. And I always ask people, would you trade in your pain if it meant that you loved that person less? And they always say, heck no, I would never trade in my love to feel less pain. So this is part of life. Loss is a part of life. And the cost of our love is pain. And it's the most intense pain that I work with in my practice. Your life is changed forever without your permission, and you suddenly become the victim of something you had no say in. And it's very intense work, and I love doing it, man. I really do. I love sitting with people and just holding their hand or whatever I need to do and tell them it's going to be okay. But it just takes time. The story, the grief story, is the most important part of that process. But I want people to think about as they watch this, the cost of your love is pain. So the more pain you're feeling, the more you love that person. So it can be an empowering feeling. And I bet if I challenged anyone watching or listening, would you trade in your pain if you could have just loved the person less? I bet you they'd say, heck no, I'll take the pain for that person.
Mm.
Wow, that was great.
Yeah. Dr. Tanya, salute to you because he stole it from you. Yeah, because that hit deep. I'm still thinking about, like, man, I won't trade it in. I mean, yes, pain is a part of the process. That's how I take it. I love that person so much, and now they're gone. I don't want them to be hurt no more. Go through the agony no more.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, depending on what the circumstance may be, the unexpectancy, the things that we don't have control over, and that's something that I want to talk about is the anxiety that people go through after dealing with grief. Now they go through other stages, isolation. I'm gonna give this example. My I call her my godmother. She told me a story. When my best friend died at the age of 23, he died of asthma. At the funeral, it was busy, trying to make sure the service is going correctly, people are right. She was the one that was passing out the tissue and stuff like that. She wasn't sitting down. Come to find out later, she's a nurse, but she ended up working maybe like 7 years later. He calls me in the middle of the night. I will never forget this. Calls me in the middle of the night. So happenly, I was on my way to work. I answered the phone because I like, she calling me in the middle of the night. What's going on? He's like, I want to apologize to you because I woke up this morning, thought about you and thought about Tony's funeral. And it just hit me that he's not here and you lost a brother. And like, this is like 7, 8 years later. I'm like, wait a minute. So she's like, I've just been on cruise control. I kept myself busy. I didn't allow myself to be stationed at one time at one place. I just kept on going. What would you say to a mother or a father during this time, especially in the season, who just lost a son and a daughter during this time before the holiday season, during this holiday season? What would you say to them?
Yeah, that's a big question. And I think, first of all, your story shows 7 years later, you get this call. I mean, that mother is still sort of in her grief story. She might be on the up or the down. We don't exactly know, but it just goes to show that life is different forever. I think for mother and father that have lost a child right now, and it's so tough. You can't be in hospitals. We can't have proper funerals right now. So there's that unfinished business. There's that lack of closure. I think is what I would say to them is that it's okay to not be okay right now. And this is a process. One day you're going to be in shock. The next day you could feel angry. The next day you could feel guilty. The next day could be good. And then the next day you could feel guilty again for feeling good the day before. And I think is what I would say is to listen to your body, to listen to your spirit, your mind, all these things are connected, and really do what's right for you, whether that's getting help, whether that's staying home, whether that's reaching out to your church, is to really put stock and look, this is your journey. Just like I was telling Lacey, no one gets to tell you how you do this except you. And there's going to be plenty of people with advice, but that doesn't really matter. They get to decide how they want to handle this loss, and that's for nobody else. And also, I think the other thing I would encourage is to reach out to a professional or a support group for help, to help them process those feelings right now. Therapy offers a beautiful thing. It offers a safe, non-judgmental place for where people can pretty much say whatever they want. And and you have sort of that objective ear that's not so closely tied to it. So yeah, I would say listen to yourself, listen to your mind, body, and spirit, and do what feels right to you, regardless of what anyone else has to say. My goodness, I mean, I couldn't imagine losing a child, right? I can't understand that. And boy, just thinking about that scenario and knowing that people are going through that really is just so heart-wrenching. But it's okay to not be okay. It's okay not to be okay. That's what I would say. It's okay to be in shock. It's okay to feel anger, guilt, depression, panic. Those are all normal parts of grief.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel those things every time I watch a Lions game. I just want to.
Yeah. And you know, you mentioned I should run a support group for Lions fans, but I don't know if I could be the therapist. I think I'd have to be a active group member, especially after this past week. But you know, you mentioned something interesting. You mentioned some stages of grief, and I do want to touch on it. You know, when people think of the stages of grief, there's like these 5 stages out there. Oh yeah, there's 5 stages of grief. Then what those 5 stages are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Those are the 5 stages of grief. Those were developed by someone named Dr. Kubler-Ross, and she was like this big name in grief back in I think the like the 1960s, I want to say, or maybe 70s. But what people don't know is that when she designed those stages of grief, she actually designed those for that of the dying person. So if you were in the death process and you were dying, say, of cancer or whatever, you would be going through these, right? And a lot of people say, well, what's the bargaining? The bargaining is, God, if you give me my health back, I'll always eat my fruits and vegetables, you know, or God, I'll never sin again if you, right? That's that bargaining piece. And certainly the non-dying people can bargain too. God, if you give me my husband back, I will be a good Christian. But really, a lot of grief therapists don't use those stages. They use 10 stages of grief that are a little bit different. And here I'm gonna throw them out there for people, because anytime I give these out for someone that's grieved a loss, they can usually nod their heads, because I think these are more accurate. Now I want people to keep in mind, these are non-linear. These don't go in order. You bounce all around these stages, right? I mean, it's a day-to-day thing, especially at first. But here are these 10 stages that I use in my practice. You have shock, like the bottom of the world has fallen out. I can't believe what's happening. You have emotional release. Again, going to my colleague, my mentor, Tanya, she calls them grief bursts. It's like you're walking through mire and all of a sudden you start crying in aisle 9. It's like you got to get out of there, right? Physical manifestations, very real in grief: headaches, back pain, stomach pain, can't eat, can't sleep, sleeping too much, all those kind of things. Then you have your depression panic stage. It's almost like a hopelessness. And a lot of people, some people can become clinically depressed. Some people experience heavy anxiety. For a lot of people, they start to think about their own mortality. Probably the 2 most universal ones coming up next. You have guilt. How did I play a part in this loss? If only I had forced them to stop smoking. If only I had gotten them out to walk more. If only I had taken them to the hospital earlier. How did I play a part in this? You have anger, right? And anger can be at anybody, a doctor, a family member. It can be at the dying person. It can be at yourself. From there, you move to idealization. Gosh, the past was perfect when they were here. You go to realization, the next stage, which is, wait a second, it wasn't always perfect. Maybe the future can be bright, even though it's different. You go to new patterns. Look, your world is different now. It's never going to go back to the same. You know, you mentioned you lost your best friend. Life is, I'm going to guess that life is really just a little bit different, or maybe a lot different since the loss of that friend. We have to develop a new patterns. And the last thing is living with the loss. And that's making adjustments, acknowledging the loss. You know, in those 5 stages, there's acceptance at the end. And, you know, I don't like that word. And a lot of grief therapists don't. To accept means to take willingly. I mean, are you going to just take willingly the death of a loved one? I can't imagine feeling that way, but I like words like adjust, acknowledge. I hate the word move on. I hate those 2 words. You got to move on. What does that mean? Does that mean snip the past with a pair of scissors and just walk away? That's ridiculous. These people are going to live within you forever. I like the word move forward. How do I adjust to this loss? How do I take everything that has happened with me and take one step forward today? So those are some of the words that I prefer in grief. And as I've already said, I can't stand the word I understand. To me, that's just kind of wild to think that someone could understand the loss of a loved one. Certainly you can relate, right? Oh yeah, I've lost my father too, or I've lost my sister, but it's two different people, two different losses. And last little tidbit, when you lose someone, it's different to lose, say, a son than it is a brother, right? So you have a parent grieving the loss of a child, and then you have a sibling grieving the loss of their brother or sister. And while it's the same person, it's two different losses. They were two different relationships. So you have all these people sometimes in a household or in a circle, they're all grieving the same loss. And at the same time, they're all grieving in their own way, and they're grieving a different relationship. It's really, you can tell I'm passionate about this, man. It's fascinating to me how unique this journey is for people.
Hey, yeah, I hear the passion in your voice when every time you speak. I really love it. I really love it. It's something I want to talk about within these next 20 minutes. I want to talk about these mental health issues that you have been seeing and facing during this time. I'm going to just say, maybe Brother Lacey, you can, agree with me or disagree with me on this. I never knew that I was depressed until someone said something. Or have you ever been that way, Brother Lacey? Or I didn't know I was having an anxiety attack until I found out the reason why I was having those moments. I felt like I couldn't breathe or anything like that until someone said something. I thought it was like, okay, this is just something normal. What about you, Brother Lacey?
I can agree. Yes, I've dealt with that, and I didn't necessarily know what it was. With me owning a business, being self-employed, I'm always on the go. I'm always trying to create. So I don't really get to process a lot. So when I do get a chance to try and start processing, I'm breezing through things real quickly. So I suspect that I might be moving different or feeling different, but not necessarily knowing what it is.
Yeah. What would you say, Dr. Josh, about that right there? Because people like Brother Lacey, someone who like me that is used to of carrying the weight, adjusting to the pressure and balancing all the pressure again, or readjusting the pressure that is on our lives. Just keep on constantly on the go. What would you say to how important it is to stop and reflect on what is going on? Because I remember you saying earlier you need to pay attention to your body early in the conversation. So only time I paid attention to my body when I felt like I couldn't breathe. That's the only time. Other than that, I was like, okay, I got a migraine. You know what? Been having this migraine for a couple of days. Maybe I was eating too much red meat or something, maybe, or had too much sugar. Okay, I'm gonna cut back on the fast and leave that alone. What what would you say to men like that that's always on the go, that's always got the pressure, that's always on the move, but don't pay attention to those things like the body and stuff like that?
Man, you hit it on that. First of all, I'm with you guys. I was 20 years old when I first had a panic attack. I had no idea what it was. I was going through a lot in my life at the time, ironically, a loss of someone very close to me. And I remember I couldn't sleep. I had racing thoughts. My heart was pounding. I was short of breathing. I started pacing in my bedroom. I was actually living with my parents at the time. And I remember I had to wake up my mom because I was scared. I said, Mom, I don't know what's happening. I mean, I couldn't even get words out. So as you talk about that, I sort of relived that moment when I was 20 years old in my parents' house. But, as far as, always being on the go, think about this. You just mentioned that when you have a headache, you cut back on red meat and sugar. Humans are experts at being out of pain, right? If you have a headache, you can take Advil. If you twist your ankle, you can ice it. And if you have a loss of a loved one, depression or anxiety, if you so wanted to, you could drink it right away, right? That's why a lot of people tend to abuse substance, and then those substances are addictive. But we're experts at being out of pain. So if you're always on the go and you're always feeling that pressure, and it's like, how do I listen to my body? It's being intentional. And I know that seems like, well, that's the obvious answer. You have to really be intentional to take some time, some moments that are just for you to process it, whether that's writing, talking to a friend, seeking counseling. Because if you if you broke your ankle, you go to the doctor and get a cast on. Why is it that when you're having a panic attack, we just think that this is a normal baseline for us? We're reluctant to get help. Why? Because from a young age, we were trained that if you have a problem in here, deal with it, suck it up, bite your lip, press forward. And finally, we're just starting to talk. Here we are on a Zoom call and Facebook Live. We're finally talking about this as men, that, hey, look, 10% of men experience daily feelings of depression and anxiety. 10%. If you're in a restaurant, which we're not really doing right now, but if you're in a restaurant with 200 people, 20 of those people are having feelings of depression and anxiety. That could be your waiter or your waitress. And that's just men, by the way, okay? Only 25% of those men, only 25% of those men are seeking some sort of help for it. Only 1 in 4. I mean, to me, that's just incredible that we're not doing the best job we can to get our men help, because we're not talking about it. And people start to feel really alone. Like Lacey, you were saying that, you're always on the go, right? It's really easy to feel alone in those moments, but to think about how many people are in their car, picking up their kids, whatever, that are feeling that way. It starts to hit home that you're not alone. 31% of men are going to suffer a period of depression in their lifetime. A third of us, that means one of us, will certainly experience depression in their lifetime. Men are 4 times more likely to commit suicide. And I know I'm just throwing out statistics here, but I think they're really important and I want to get them out there. But men are 4 times more likely to complete suicide than a woman is. And women are more likely to attempt. Men are much more likely to I don't want to use the word succeed, but they're more likely to complete that. And the rates are only going up, especially in a year like this. This whole COVID-19 pandemic is taking a significant toll on people's mental health. There's a lot of people living alone. There's a lot of people not doing well. I'm getting lots of calls of people that just say they feel so isolated right now, that they just need someone to talk to right now. And they're willing to commit to something like talking to a therapist. And you know what's amazing is that when someone comes and sees me in my office, we have a nice sort of get to know each other session. They start to talk about why they've come in. And I always say at the end of the first session, I say, use 3 words to describe today's session. And you know what? 9 times out of 10, it's, gosh, I feel relief, hopeful, energized. Just to get some of this out is going to be so helpful with it, whether it's a therapist. I'm not here to sell anybody, but whether it's a friend, a therapist, pick someone that will listen, that will truly not just hear you, but listen and not just look to give you advice. It is okay to feel these isolating feelings, to tell somebody about them. Approach your anxiety and depression. Don't just let your broken ankle go uncasted. Don't let your headache go untreated. It's the same thing. Get some treatment for this. You're going to feel a lot better. It saves lives. It really does. The work works. Like I said before, we're losing too many men to this. And especially this year, there's a significant uptick in some of these disparity deaths, like drinking yourself to death or completing a suicide. It's very alarming what's happening right now.
I want to challenge you, Dr. Josh. I know you probably don't have these numbers, but can you give me the numbers in the African-American community that men are visiting, going to therapists who are dealing with mental health issues? Are they how they are handling those things? Can you make next time, maybe next time we can just go into those things. I want to see if we can do a comparison between different ethnic groups of how they dealing with mental health, and how we address those norms or theories or whatever, about men talking, because a lot of times, like in my culture, that's a no-no. Like, talk about it. Talk about what? Let's go get this drink. Right. Let's go get a drink or something like that. And we'll figure it out later. Okay. That's something I want to, talk about that a little bit later next time for next month. Let's do that. Let's bring those stats out there as well.
Absolutely. I have some, but I know we're running a long time, and you see that once I get off on a tangent, I keep going, but I'll have that for you next time. Absolutely. And I would love to return to talk about some of those statistics. Absolutely.
One more thing. I know you said something that a lot of us do as men. That is, there has been moments like my best crying. Brother Lacey, he probably could contest with this too. Agree with me on this. My best crying is when I'm in the car on my way to work. I don't know what it is. It just those moments when I'm in the car, I'm riding. I have no music on. Usually when I go to work, I'm not listening to any music. I'm just driving, trying to get my mind together. But those moments is like my release.
Yeah, by 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning.
Yeah, just like, just let it go. Let it go. just let it go. Now I'm at work, pulling up in the parking lot, trying to get all of these dry.
Trying to get it together. Yeah.
Off my face. Like, you know what? I got to get myself.
Feeling good though.
Thank you, man.
You're feeling better. Feeling good.
A lot better on the inside.
Well, hey, here, I got to throw this in here. There's science behind this. Check this out really quick, and I'll bring the study next time. But there are several studies showing that when we cry, when we're moved from emotion, so you watch a movie or you have one of those deep belly cries, if you put your tears under a microscope, they can see dopamine. The feel-good drug is pumping out of your brain through your body to help you feel better. Your body's designed to do that. When you cut onions and you shed tear from cutting an onion, and they take the tear and they put it under a microscope, no dopamine. So that means that there's something built within us, which to me, man, it's like the proof of God, right? This is like amazing stuff to me, that when we are moved from emotion, the feel-good drug that was created within us pumps through our body to help us make us feel better. And that is why that when you have one of those deep cries, generally people say, gosh, I feel so much better, because somehow, some way, our bodies are designed that way. It's incredible. So there's actually a science behind our tears, and it's amazing. I'll bring that research next time.
The dopamine, that's what it's called?
Yeah, dopamine, which is the feel-good, our feel-good drug.
Dopamine. Let's hear people. Go get your dopamine. I'm selling it right now. But you got to get it around 6 o'clock in the morning, okay? I'm going to be. You can meet me and Brother Lacey somewhere, and we'll give you some dopamine, make you feel all better. But I really enjoyed this conversation on today. Like we said, it's Monday night. And we just trying to get ready. We just want to hit you with this tidbit. This is a conversation that we're going to continue to have for the upcoming months, beginning of the new year. This is our new brother, Dr. Josh. He has helped us on today to address some key points he gave us. Even though I remember, that's why I said the stages of grief, because I remember that in my psychology class, and I was like, I got that from somewhere. Oh, that's why. Yeah. I know, when you say that, I'm like, yeah, duh. I was on homework.
Easy to forget, right?
He's like, I know it's 5 stages. I got the answer. But we appreciate you for coming on here, Dr. Josh. Brother Lacey, I appreciate you coming on here.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you guys.
I just want to say one more thing. Well, a couple more things. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me on here. I'd be happy to join and answer any questions people have. To be clear, just because I don't want anyone coming at me. I am not a medical doctor. I'm a licensed professional counselor, which is a little bit. So I'm just a typical guy. So if anyone reaches out, you can just call me Josh. But for the people watching this and for the people that will watch this, you are not alone. Even though it can feel that way, even though in those moments it could make sense to just not want to be here anymore, you're not alone. People want to hear your story. People want to listen. They would rather listen to your story than be attending a funeral. And even if you're dealing with just a life challenge that has nothing to do with suicide or anything like that, it doesn't mean it's not important. Address it. That's why people like me are here, and friends like these two gentlemen here. That's what they're there for. We want to hear you. So grateful that you guys are doing this and having this conversation, and I just feel totally blessed to be on this call tonight.
All right, man. No, we're blessed. Thank you for just spending your time. I really appreciate it. What I do need you to do, Josh, is if you can, what was that again? The 10 steps?
10 stages of grief.
You can say that one more time.
Yeah, right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's do it. Coming at you here, Josh. Hope He'll Change Counseling. I think I have it on my website too, hopehe'llchange.com. So the 10 stages that I use are shock, emotional release, physical manifestations, depression/panic, it's lumped into one stage, guilt, which is a universal stage, anger, idealization, realization, new patterns, and living with the loss are the 10 stages that I use for grief.
All right. Thank you so much. Again, we're going to come back next month. We're still going to deal with mental health. Then we're going to put a spin on it as well, because we do need to talk about this one aspect. And I know Josh is, I remember he was saying this in the beginning, people who he's treating with, man, they are coming with their mental health, but they also coming about their relationships. Let's talk about that later on a later day in the month of January. We're going to talk about that. The question I'm going to have to ask for you is to remember for this is managing through your issues of without self-destructing and sabotaging healthy relationships. Now, I know that was deep. I know that was a handful, but I can say this. I know a lot of men, including me, that has done some self-destructing things, destroy some healthy relationships.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Brother Lacey's right there with me, and it's not like we did it on purpose. It was just, it's hard to explain.
I'll say it like this. How about the feeling of I'm not worthy?
That's it. That's a good one. That's, you know what? That's why you my big little brother. That's the word. I'm like, why are you here? Like, why are you here? Because I don't deserve.
Not worthy. Yeah.
I don't deserve this.
Yeah.
I've not done anything to deserve a relationship like this. Yeah. But that's another time, Dr. Josh. We'll talk about that in January. Also, get those numbers for us, but we could talk about the difference between African American community, other ethnic groups, when it comes to mental health. We want to talk about that as well. Again, we want to say thank you so much for Josh, Brother Lacey, for coming on this Monday night. We'll come again in January. Happy holiday to everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Same to you guys.
Stay safe. Put your mask up. Vaccine is out there, but you can't get it. So don't worry about it. You got to wait in line. So until then, and put your mask up. Despite all what you see. Okay. Yeah. See, you put the mask up. Hey, quarantine. During this holiday season, I know everyone wants to be together. Just stay safe. Okay. This. Okay. You know one another. We've already seen the surge from Thanksgiving. Let's stay safe. All right. Thank you so much, Josh. We're going to pray that the Lions get a great draft pick for 2021. I think they lose the remaining all their games for the remainder of the season. I'm strictly turned over now. I'm strictly to the Pistons. So my season Lions is over. After they lost to Green Bay, it was over with. Okay, it was over. Game over. So I'm on to the Pistons now. Okay, I'm on to the Pistons. That's where I'm at. So I'm going for the Pistons. Everybody, pray for the Pistons. We're gonna win this year. No, we're not. But we're not. I ain't gonna lie to y'all like that. Well, pray for all of us. Pray for Brother Lacey and his marriage and his children. Pray for Josh and his wife and his wonderful child is on the way.
Yes, congrats again to you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Salute to him because now he about to get the true meaning of fatherhood. And you see these wrinkles? That's right.
Can't wait. I'm ready for him, man. Bring it on.
Right
Hey,
here.
get ready for a lot of dopamine.
a lot of dopamine.
I'm gonna need a lot of 5 a.m. dopamine, man. I'm gonna have some good cries and pump that dopamine.
Get ready for those.
It's gonna be great.
Get ready for those drives by yourself. It's like, you know what? I gotta leave. I'm going somewhere. You don't know. You've been at the grocery store for 2 hours. That's one of those drives. Get ready for it.
There you go. I'm ready. I'm ready. That's great, guys. Thanks for the well wishes.
This is wisdom, right? This is wisdom.
For sure. For sure.
All right, everybody on Facebook, thank you for tuning with us. We appreciate you for tuning in. Again, hit that share button, hit that like button. If you have any questions about our Man Cave conversation on today, please, you can inbox us on the Word Restoration Ministry page, or you can also inbox me or Brother Lacey or Brother Josh. I tagged them on the page as well, where you can reach out and hit them in the DMs. Okay, okay. Just ask him the question. Don't do all that. Okay, just and he's surely glad will help you. Okay, so thank y'all so much again. We really appreciate you. Until next month, same time, just next month, and a whole new year. 2020.
Finally.
Yeah.
Like, Lord, I've been waiting for this year to end. Thank you. Thank you. All right, God bless you, brothers. See y'all soon.
Yes, sir. See you.
Take care.